What's up, everybody, and welcome back to On the Break. The Melo was once dead and is now an all-star edition. It's J-Mac, Kyle Beats, Josh VG. Gentlemen, what's going on?
What's up, man? It's good to be back. I'm sorry I missed last week.
Glad to have you back. Can't hear you, Kyle.
We missed We missed your take on Swaggy P bringing the BB gun
Into the locker room.
Oh, was that the Gilbert Arenas joke?
Yeah.
Man,
here's
my take. That guy's a future Hall of Famer now.
Well,
in my heart, at least.
Yeah, I was going to say, you would have thought that, first of all, before we even had this conversation in the first place. But
for sure,
the fact that Swaggy P brought a BB gun into the locker room and Gilbert Arenas took it from him and shot him with it in the chest in front of an NBA rep is just an unbelievable story. We talked about it last week, and I still can't believe that happened.
Oh, man. Dude, that guy, have you ever listened to him on his podcast? Or, whenever he guest stars on his podcast, Gilbert Arenas?
No.
He has the greatest stories in the world, dude. He just has an electric personality.
Dude, I was telling him, so Justin didn't realize how big of a deal that was in the moment, though, when all the Gilbert Arenas stuff happened. And when he said that, I was like, Josh would lose right now. This is a pretty big deal for NBA players to be doing that.
Yeah, and he was averaging 30 a game whenever that happened.
Yeah, he was trending to be like
one of
Kobe,
the greatest,
T-Mac, AI type scorer, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was like I don't want to say the Steph before Steph because he wasn't ever at that level, but it was like he was the player that was spreading people out to the half court line. Like if you look up Gilbert Arenas' greatest shots, and there's a shot that he pulls up, it's a game winner. He crosses somebody or does a step back and pulls a three from super deep. And before it's even halfway to the rim, he turns around and raises his arms because he knows it's in. And there's a picture of him with his arms up and the ball going through the net in the background. It's just that was who he was. He was the new age of player.
Agent Zero, man, but Gil was Gil, and that happened. So what do you think about, Melo being the player? Was it Western Conference Player of the Week or just NBA Player of the Week?
It was Western Conference. I think Vucevic won Player of the Week on the East.
Okay.
But James Harden averaged 47 points a game on 74% true shooting percentage.
It's not good enough.
It's not great.
God, man. I mean, it was a welcome back to the league, Melo. We're sorry that nobody paid you for forever. That's all it was.
Dude, I mean, but if you average 47 and he played 3 games a week or 4?
Yeah.
I think it was 4 games and you average 47. How are you not Player of the Week though? That's insane.
It's really absurd.
It's almost a Player of the Month. Sorry, go ahead.
I would just say it's really absurd. It's hard to wrap your head around.
But I think it's a little bit of the NBA being tired of James Harden and the style of the play. I know you're tired of that, Justin, and I think they're just tired of handing him awards for ISO ball. So,
Josh, we were talking about it last week. If I have to fucking watch the Rockets play basketball anymore this season, I'm gonna vomit. I hate watching them play. It's so ugly.
It's one person doing everything and everybody else standing around.
It's boring,
but really,
dude.
You can get people open in 3 different ways in the NBA. You can get people open with movement, you can get people open with spacing, and you can get people open with just overall talent. And the Rockets use overall talent from James Harden and spacing from everybody else. If you watch the Warriors whenever they were playing and they were playing at a high level, they use so much movement and so much talent, but they didn't always have great spacing. You'd have 4 people stacked on one side of the lane, and the Rockets just do it the opposite way. And it's a little bit more boring because people aren't moving around as much. But I mean, for Golden State, it didn't matter. Sure, they missed a lot of those shots, but they were so good. They were such a good offensive juggernaut that they could take as many of those shots as they wanted to. So it didn't really matter. Yeah, and they led the league in assists for 2 or 3 years in a row. It was built out of a team playing game, and I think the Rockets are probably up there as far as assists goes. I think the Bucks are up there too, but they just do it a different way, and I can understand because it's not exciting. Nobody's moving. Everybody's just standing around and watching James Harden.
I just ultimately don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, that's the more important thing. I don't think Daryl Morey or the Rockets owner, I don't think they're really worried about is it going to look good because they're still a huge market. They're still got their TV deals in place and they're still going to sell. They're more worried about can this work in the playoffs because now that Golden State's out of the way, this is their time, right? And I mean, you got probably your last peak year of Westbrook. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 more. we'll see how that goes. But with the way Harden's playing right now, I mean, this is the year, right? And I'm kind of with Justin here. I don't think it's going to pan out well in the playoffs with that ISO ball unless you can get a little more ball movement. I know what you're saying about the assists, Josh, but that's because they may be really high in the league in team assists, but that's because it's regular season defense. When it's playoff teams playing playoff defense, we've seen that not work for them in the past repeatedly, and I don't know that this roster is really any better constructed.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys on that as far as they have floundered in the playoffs previously. Like the all-time, we're up 2 games on Golden State, and we go 0-for-39 on one, and Chris Paul gets hurt on the next one. So it's or I don't even know what the exact number was, but it was something stupid like that, 0-for-27. Jesus.
That was so funny.
Yeah, but they floundered in the playoffs previously, and I'd agree with that. I don't know that this is something that can work. And I don't have them coming out of the playoffs. I think I still have I said at the beginning of the series, Lakers Bucks in the finals. But and as far as prime for Westbrook, it's probably a little bit lenient. I wouldn't say that he's in his prime anymore by any stretch of the imagination, but I hear what you're saying in that, like, you think there's going to be a hard drop off next year.
Prime athleticism.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's right there, man.
I'd agree with you in that, like,
so
there's going to be a drop off eventually, and it's going to drop off harder than it already has for him. Like, he dropped off pretty hard originally from 31.6 down to 25, and his 3-point percentage is shot down from there, and 2-point percentage as well.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like,
but I mean, how many of those shots is he taking though with Harden being there? That's a better question though.
I mean, he shouldn't be taking any.
He's still taking like 1 or 2 less shots per game than he was last year, because I mean, he had PG on the team last year who was having a really good season.
That's true.
He was probably 3rd or 4th in MVP at one point last year, but
all I'm
the
saying,
Rockets have played a tough schedule thus far. I will give them that.
They have. I guess all I was asking, the reason I was asking is because if he's taking less of those shots and like some of those drop offs, like he went from 31 to 24, you said, or he's gone from 31 to 24, like that's a significant drop off. But is he taking less shots? Is that the reason?
Yeah, I mean, it almost goes without saying that he was going to score less this year, right? Because James Harden's on your team, but right. I think his percentages needed to go up, and as Josh pointed out, they didn't.
Right, no, for sure. I was just curious of what that looks like, just given the offense that he's in now.
Yeah, he needed to be more efficient. Right now, last year he shot 5.6 threes per game, and this year he's shooting 5.3.
Oh, wow.
Last year he shot 29% from the 3-point line, which is not good. And this year he's shooting 23% from the 3-point line.
23,
honest at this point.
Dude, wow.
Yeah, field goal percentage has been pretty stagnant. 42.8 last year, 42.6 this year. He's just
still not good, really, like, percentage.
What Russell Westbrook is elite at is having the ball in his hands and breaking down the defense and making a play for somebody else. And he just can't do it in that offense because you have somebody that's better than him at doing that.
That's fair.
Dude, it's just weird because he was shooting. There was a couple years in there, like his MVP year, didn't he shoot like 34 or 35% from 3?
Yeah, he shot 34% from the 3-point line. And
that's pretty good. Like, that makes a big difference.
He significantly dropped off after that. And that was the drop off that I was talking about. And like, it's almost like he doesn't get the same amount of lift from his legs as he used to. He shot 34% in his MVP year, and then the next year he shot 29%, and then 29, and then 23 this year.
Not good. What I've noticed is he definitely picks and chooses more. So I think like just his ability at the beginning of his career, he could just have those bunnies and just be bouncing and not stop moving the entire time, where now he has to pick and choose a little bit more, which is what LeBron's been doing really for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's kind of worked out, I think. I think it's obviously worked out for LeBron's body.
If I'm the Rockets, I'm looking at what Westbrook has done, and I'm saying we've gotten worse since Chris Paul.
He's like, I think so. I'm with you there.
Overall, his usage rate is way less than it was last year, and he's averaging 4.3 turnovers versus last year he averaged 4.5. He's gotten worse in the smaller amount of usage that he's been used, and he can't knock down a 3. Chris Paul could at least knock down a 3. Chris Paul at least defended.
Yeah.
Westbrook just hasn't been able to fit into that system because he's so used to, even when Durant was there, he was the guy with the ball. He's so used to being that, and he just hasn't been able to figure out who he is without that ball.
I mean, Chris Paul shooting, or so he's got average on the season 16 points, 4 rebounds and 6 assists, and he's shooting 38.6% from three. That's pretty.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like that's a stark difference in what you're getting from 3-point land just in general, right there for the Rockets alone.
Yeah, and last year he shot 36% from the 3-point line. Compare that to Westbrook's 23. Chris Paul was taking 3-pointers attempt. Yeah, he shot 36 at 6 threes attempted last year versus Russell Westbrook's 23 at 5 3-pointers attempted last year. Like, and that's what that offense is predicated around. It's predicated around James Harden getting people open to knock down threes, right? So I just don't. I said at the beginning of the year, I don't know how. Like, Westbrook is significantly better, and it was hard for me to say, like, I know that Westbrook's a better player than Chris Paul, but I don't know how he's going to fit in the system. And it just hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened. I do think that he's looked good in fast break, which is what we anticipated. And he's getting to 24, 25 some way, right? So if he's shooting 23% from three, but he's 42% overall, that means when he gets to the bucket, he's pretty likely to score, right?
Right.
And I mean, from the games I've seen, for some reason, the games I've watched, they've actually had wins. I mean, they're obviously 13-6, so percentage-wise, not elite. But I don't know, man. I think they're going to be okay. I agree that Westbrook hasn't really fit into the system that well. I just think that James Harden is really scoring at an elite level right now. I think the key deal for them is going to be health, because I mean, they're just not that depth across the board, or that deep across the board. So I think that's going to be their biggest issue. I don't think it's going to be Westbrook necessarily, unless he does what we've seen him do in the playoffs and tries to take over and ends up taking more shots than James Harden in a few games, which should not happen.
Yeah. So
I think though, sorry, real quick, Josh, I think the biggest differentiator though is that, and this is kind of the point that Josh and I are making, is that with Westbrook, it's not a matter of trying. I think Westbrook always tries. I would never really accuse him of that, but it's a matter of whether his body will allow him to do that further. And that's probably my bigger question than anything else. I have no doubt that he can do it. That's obvious, but it's a matter of, degradation.
Yeah, it's a fair concern.
Yeah.
Listen, you can give me the hardest trying senior coming out of high school, wants to do great in the military, but if he keeps pulling pins on grenades and leaving them in the box, like that's you don't want that versus somebody that doesn't try as hard and is smarter, right? The league average EFG, which is like field goal percentage versus and counting as like if I shoot a 2-point shot, 50% is 50%, right? If I shoot a 3-point shot, 33% is 50%, right? That's what EFG is. League average EFG is this year is, where did you go?
Probably around 50.
Yeah, it's 54, I think. I just saw it, but I wanted to read it off. I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, 52%. Okay. Westbrook's currently shooting 45%. He is it is so much worse for him when a shot comes out of or so much worse for the Rockets when a shot comes out of his hands than when it's not coming out of his hands. He needs to be put in a position where he can make plays for other people. He needs to be the LeBron James playmaker, where he's not taking as many shots, but he's leading the league in assists. And it's just not going to happen on that team because he's got a better one on that team.
Yeah, I mean, but this is what they wanted. Yeah, so, I mean, they're going to have to make it work. I do think they're still going to get deep in the playoffs, though. I'm going to stay adamant about that.
It's going to depend on the competition, to be honest, man. Like, so the good news for them is that some of the teams that we thought were going to be better than they haven't been. But I mean, then again, like teams like the Mavericks have been a lot better than people thought they would be.
Dude, like the Blazers. I mean, the Blazers it's early, right? But they're 8-12. I mean, we're relying on Melo now. I mean, I really don't know what's happening. Even though I think Melo still has
averaging 22 points a game.
Yeah, I think he still has a lot in the tank, and I think we've all thought that. We just didn't know if it was really going to work out. They're like the Cowboys of the NBA, though. I mean, it's like all this talent, suspect coach, shit results.
Yeah, I still don't have any type of
faith in Terry Stotts.
Dude, I'm forgetting all my words today. Faith in Terry Stotts being able to outcoach a coach that's good in a 7-game series. Yeah. Like, you can outcoach Billy Donovan all day long, but not a coach that's good.
It's true.
Yeah, it's Jason Garrett effect. Terry Stotts definitely has that. You've pretty much given up on him, Josh, since he didn't make those adjustments in I don't remember what series, or it was the Warrior series, the Western Conference playoffs last year. You were losing your mind.
Yeah, because he decided to run a drop defense against Stephen Curry. And that was when I was like, this guy's the worst coach in the league. He's horrible.
Well, I don't know about that, but he's definitely up there.
He's not the worst coach in the league.
But
Billy
at the
Donovan
time,
and Scott Brooks are.
He was definitely
two OKC Thunder coaches.
He was definitely the worst coach that was still coaching in that season. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure. Here's my concern about the Rockets. I would hesitate. Like if you told me to put money on any team going deep in the playoffs in the Western Conference, I don't know who I would choose, dude. Because like the Lakers and the Clippers depend on health. The Rockets could run into one of those buzzsaws of the Lakers or the Clippers if they are healthy. The Utah Jazz could turn it on and only allow you to score 80 points a game. The Nuggets could turn it on and the Jokers could add 15 or average 15 assists and 40 points a game. You know, like,
dude, wait, hold on. I got a question. Are you trying to tell? Let's back this up. Are you trying to tell me that the Lakers bench and the Clippers bench is equivalent as far as dependent on injury?
No, I'm saying that if Kawhi, like, we already have big time questions about Paul George.
Do we?
Kawhi has had big time.
Playing.
Do what?
Look at how he's playing. What are you saying?
Sure, but he just came off two or three shoulder surgeries.
Let's not go. Let's not say we. Let's not say we. Let's say you.
Yeah, Justin really is a big believer in the Clippers bench over the Lakers bench.
Sure, and I don't have any problem with that, but their stars have a history of getting injured.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I agree with that. I trust LeBron and AD more than Kawhi and Paul George to stay healthy for sure.
But it's not necessarily about that with the Clippers though. Like, look at Montrezl Harrell is. We talked about him last year a ton. All three of us love him, and like that dude is banging out there already. Like, and Lou Will looks great. Like, a lot of the bench looks really good for the Clippers. That's what surprises me the most about them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Josh has a really fair point, though. I think that, PG-13 and Kawhi playing, 55, 60 games, that's good load management. But I just don't know if they're going to be healthy in the playoffs. Kawhi was limping last year, and Paul George couldn't finish the season. So, I mean, we'll see.
If they don't have both of those guys, I don't think they're getting out of the Western Conference. I think that somebody will beat them if they don't have both those guys.
Yeah, they need. So
that's what I'm saying is like the West is there's so many question marks on every single team in the West.
Yeah,
like any team, like if the Lakers, one of their stars goes down, it's over. If the Clippers, one of their stars go down, they're going to be better than the Lakers when one of their stars go down, but they're not going to make a championship, right? Nuggets, we haven't seen what the Nuggets can really do. They're barely beating people. Mavericks, I have big concerns about the Mavericks just because of youth, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Rockets, I don't think that they can make that offense work together. The Jazz have been the biggest disappointment to me in the entire league, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, you just ran down all 8 teams, and somebody's got to make it. So I mean,
yeah, exactly. So that's what I said. What I'm saying is, I don't know who's going to come out of the West. Like the Lakers are my smart money, but this is the least sure that I've ever been of the West.
It's great though, right? Like,
yeah,
isn't it better than not being sure?
I love it.
It's weird how we've just gone from Golden State being like minus 250 to win the Western Conference to this where there's probably like 5 legit competitors.
Right.
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard though, because I think Utah is a pretty good team. And who was I watching them play the other night? Toronto. And it was 77-37 when I turned the game on. I was like, that's incredible that a team that good can get beat by 40. I mean, this league has insane parity. And I just think Toronto's also a pretty damn good team.
Yeah.
Also, Mike Conley has sucked, bro.
Dude, terrible.
He's been horrendous. Like, he needs to turn it on. And if he can get back to how he played before his injury, then they're going to be okay. But, man, he's been bad.
Agreed.
Yeah, no kidding. I really do think, though, there's a lot of parity in the West. I think the East has actually probably been more interesting than the West has, just given that the East is always kind of shadowed with a weird question mark because you just really never know what's going to happen in that side of things. I mean, teams like Miami being a lot better than we thought they'd be, and all that. Jimmy Butler's been pretty good overall. Like, there's a lot going on just on that side of the bracket alone, and like, I think it is really confusing because we've just it's been a foregone conclusion since 2013, 14 that the Warriors are going to come out of the West for the most part. I mean, there's been some the Rockets.
That's what it was.
Yeah, the Rockets could most likely take them on, but I mean, I don't think there was ever a whole lot of doubt that it wouldn't be anybody but Golden State. And I think it's caused a lot of the confusion. I mean, we're like a quarter of the way through and we have no idea what to think of some of these teams. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Miami's third in the East right now. And what's crazy is, like, I was watching them play the other night, and I had questions in regards to what they're going to do from the point guard position. They're running Justice Winslow at the point guard, which is crazy, dude. That guy's 6'7" and built like a tank, and he's making plays and he's making the right decisions. So dude, I've said this since LeBron and D Wade and Chris Bosh got a championship. I think that Eric Spoelstra is a top 5 coach in the league. I still think he is.
I agree with that 100%. He maxes out rosters the same way Pop, the same way Carlisle, same way Doc Rivers. I feel like last year it just takes these kind of average teams and makes them really good. But they got Jimmy Butler this year. They're getting some really good play out of their rookies.
Yeah, they are.
And I don't know. Their team, I was looking at it, they have had the their strength of schedule played is 28th.
The Heat?
Yeah, does that worry you at all?
I mean, all the we talked about that. Like, as far as all those teams at the bottom are all good teams because they're not playing themselves, right? So it's like the Lakers are 26, Celtics are 27, Heat are 28, 76ers are 25, Bucks are 22. They're just not playing themselves.
Can I tell you something crazy? Strength of schedule remaining, though, the Lakers are 8th because they've played such an easy one so far. The Heat are 29th in strength of schedule remaining because their division sucks that bad.
That is crazy.
That's insane, right?
That's a big deal, yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to end up with a good record, but I don't know how good that team is necessarily.
Yeah. Whenever you're relying with so much of your scoring, I need to look up the stat of what their scoring comes from people under 2 years of age. It's just not going to go well in the playoffs. Even if they make the playoffs, they'll get bounced in the first round.
Can I give you some stats real quick on? So I've been man crushing on Giannis with you as well. Now I've caught a lot of league pass action from him, and dude, I've been overly impressed. So I want to give you these stats real quick. 25.5 points, 12.7 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. That's Tim Duncan's best season of his career. That's his MVP season in 02-03.
That's his best season?
Yeah, wow. That's his best season. And he won MVP that year, first team All-NBA, and they won a championship. And it was 25.5. Now, I know it was kind of the height of dead ball era. I mean, it was just a different era still. But 25.5, 12.7, 2.5 blocks. And you look at what Giannis is doing this year. And he played 34 minutes a game. Giannis playing less minutes. He's going 30.8, 13.4, plus the 6 assists. Now, only 1.3 blocks, but 1.4 steals as well. So,
golly. That is nuts, dude.
And he's
going to win the MVP. There's just no doubt to me. I love what Luka's doing. I love how the Lakers are playing. What Harden's doing is super entertaining as far as comparing it to, is he the best scorer of all time? Is he, just comparing it to Mike? And I enjoy that. But Giannis is definitely the best player. Like, getting league pass this year from you, where I'm just hopping in these games and watching all these players play, he's better than LeBron.
The other thing is, if you think about it, just extrapolate this over whatever his career is going to be, assuming it doesn't end in injury in some way. Knock on wood. The fact that Tim Duncan's in my top 5 of all time. So think about what that does.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Dude,
can we talk about that?
No, not right now. We'll get back. Well, I want to get into that later. But I'm just saying, by the numbers and everything, yeah, absolutely. And so, if you extrapolate that over a long period of time, he's going to be rivaling Michael and LeBron in no time.
Dude, last year I said this guy has a ceiling to be the greatest of all time.
Yeah, you did.
And
I second that. His talent. Well, I think I said his talent is the greatest we've ever seen. It's Shaq meets LeBron.
Yeah, and James Harden is about to have the second most efficient rating, or second most efficient year of all time, and Giannis is going to have the most efficient year of all time. These two guys are doing unbelievable things this year.
But don't you agree that, to Justin's point from earlier, that Giannis is just so much more fun to watch than Harden?
Yeah,
absolutely, dude.
Because people are dying every time he goes to the rim, right? Also, he's got that Pat Connaughton on his team, and to see a little bitty white guy
buckets, dude,
freaking hilarious.
That little bitty dude is 6'7", also, by the way.
Yeah, jeez, yeah, he had the highest vert at his combine. It was 44 inches, 45 inches. It was like Vince Carter level.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Well, that's not
Vince Carter might have had a 60, but
that's unexpected.
Yeah.
To say the least. But dude, if Houston and Milwaukee playing a 7-game series, who you got?
Oh, Milwaukee,
no problem. Probably in like 5 games, I guess.
They put Middleton on Harden. Harden averages 12. I'm just joking. I just did that for you.
He might average like 32, but he's going to shoot probably a pretty bad percentage.
I'm just playing with you. But let me run back to. I've got the Bucks, and I've got them in 5 to 6. I don't even think he goes 7. You said that Giannis is better than LeBron, and I think I agree with that. But I don't think LeBron could do what Giannis could do what LeBron's doing the Lakers.
No, so Justin and I think we talked about this. Or no, you and I talked about this, Josh. If you switch them, I think LeBron makes the Bucks better because that's the type of player LeBron is. But Giannis could make the Lakers maybe a little more intriguing. It's just I think LeBron is the guy I want in a series. He's the guy I trust in the playoffs. But as far as just overall talent and how they're playing right now on a night in, night out basis, it's the talent mixed with the stats. Like, how can I not say Giannis is not playing better than LeBron?
I'd agree with that.
LeBron, sorry.
LeBron and Giannis, so they're both the Terminator, but Giannis is the Terminator whenever he turns into Arnold Schwarzenegger. LeBron's the Terminator whenever he's that silvery stuff that has to take shape, right? LeBron, you can plug him in anything and he'll be great. Like he's leading the league in assists right now. Nobody saw that coming, right?
Right.
So he can do anything. Giannis just destroys people and is pulling down 13 rebounds a game and 6 assists.
But with LeBron too, though, like we're talking about a guy that's got 3 times plus the amount of experience that Giannis has.
That's
and
true.
Knows how
Giannis could be that.
Yeah, I don't even know how you could even quantify that. He is a million times. It's just.
Well, I say that by strictly the amount of games played alone.
Got you.
That way, it's because you can't really. But I'm saying though is like the experience counts for everything, and the fact that we talk about this almost every episode. The fact that LeBron put a fucking Cleveland team on his back that was absolute trash and basically beat the best team of all time is fucking impressive. And like I don't know that Giannis is capable of that, but I wouldn't count him out for doing that. I don't think that would ever happen in Milwaukee. Is my thing with it.
It's too cold.
Not enough happiness up there.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like, and LeBron has the greatest basketball IQ of all time. Giannis isn't there yet. You still see Giannis makes those mistakes night in and night out. And if you watch LeBron's games, it's hard to find mistakes that he makes. Like it's you have to really dig deep to see mistakes that he's making. And it's insane in that manner.
Where are you at with your boy Ben Simmons, Josh?
Oh boy,
I've never been a fan of him. I've never.
Oh really?
Let's take a look at
he's just lighting it up.
Yeah,
I would take him over Luka now that you mention it.
Yeah, dude, all 13 points of him.
There's like, what kind of odds would you have given me if I said, Josh, I think Luka's going to average 17 points more per game than Ben Simmons?
So I don't bet, but I might have bet on that one.
Yeah, like it's like 1,000 to 1.
Yeah,
easily.
He still gets seven rebounds, 8 assists. So I know you're happy with that.
Yeah, he still looks so timid out there. He was leading the league in 3-point percentage at one point though this year, and I'm going to take that as a win. He still just looks so timid. He looks afraid of shooting. The only time that he doesn't look timid is when has his back to the basket or is like in a fast break, or they have designed the play to get him a running start at the rim, and then he makes great plays, and he's dishing the ball like he needs to. He's averaging 8.4 assists. With only 3.7 turnovers, bro. That's better than a 2-0 assist to turnover ratio. Ultimately,
concerned that his points dropped 4 though, as he's supposed to be getting into his prime.
Yeah, very much so.
Like he's not going to make an all-star team this year if he keeps playing like this.
No, and I think people will. It doesn't matter what is because he's averaging 7 boards a game and 8 assists, which is a big deal. Like that's good. I think people just aren't going to all-star vote him out of spite because he's become a meme player. He's not. Nobody's going to look at him and say that guy's doing good in this area or this area, or he's a lockdown defender. It's that he can't shoot, and that's his meme. That's like who he is now.
And it doesn't help that team isn't very good either. The team
Agreed.
isn't helping him out. I mean,
that's the best not good team ever, though. That's a 15-6 not good team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you keep that pace, you're at 50, 55, 56 wins.
They're underperforming.
They're underperforming. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But like I told Justin last episode, they're just going to have to figure that rotation out. And I don't know if they're going to, but like that's what it's going to take.
I question whether Brett Brown is going to figure it out or not.
I think that's fair, but I don't think they're going to make a move on that.
No, they're definitely not. They're definitely not. But
Which I think is the right thing to do. I think you wait until after the season to see how it plays out with him because there's still potential for this team in that conference.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. But I mean, there's just too much talent on this team. And like, I mean, Kyle, I think we touched on it really briefly last episode, but like, I just can't get my head around Embiid going 0 for 11 in a game. I mean, that is just so terrible.
Yeah, that can't happen. I was listening to a Simmons podcast doing the top 10 players like in this moment right now in the NBA, and he dropped Embiid out of there, which I thought was crazy. But then the more I think about it, like I think that's fair with the way he's played this season.
Agreed.
He made the commitment to getting his body in shape in the offseason. We haven't really seen that pan out with his conditioning at all this season.
None. What do you think about that, Josh? Oh, Josh is frozen, so we'll continue.
Did we lose Josh? Okay, yeah. So dude. He put Cat over Embiid, which I thought was insane, but I had to look at your boy Cat. Dude, his stats are legit.
I know, man.
Like he is easily having the best season of his career. I think he's well on his way to an All-NBA, at least third team, but an All-NBA for sure.
Easily. I'm actually going to the Mavericks Minnesota game tomorrow night to watch him play, which I'm really excited about because I haven't seen him really get to play a ton this season yet.
Well, it's career high in points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, he's at 20, 26, 10, and 4.
I've been keeping track of the numbers, but I just haven't really sat down to really watch him play yet.
Yeah. So one thing that I love about him, 3-point percentage, 42, free throw percentage, 81. Dude, he's shooting as many threes as Dame.
That's nuts.
He's shooting 9 threes a game. I didn't realize that until I just looked at it. I thought it was probably 5 or 6. He's shooting 9 a game and making almost 4. So, I mean,
boy,
that's really impressive.
Of course, Josh ducked out of the podcast for a minute right whenever you decided to finally give Kat some credit.
I did that very strategically.
Yeah. When he gets back, we'll go right back to
banged by you guys.
When he gets back, we'll go back to just dissing him like crazy again. So don't worry.
Exactly. But
no, you're right.
In all seriousness, though, he's great.
He is. His numbers look great. I mean, 26, 12 and a half, and 4 is just impressive overall. He's got to be like that. The thing is, like, they're paying him they're paying him and Wiggins, I guess, like the all-stars that they're supposed to be. And I'm fine with that as long as you're being productive in those numbers and everything. And I mean, to your point, you've made this point a lot, like, and in a lot of other seasons, he really hasn't done that yet, and he hasn't played like the guy. And we wondered
he's the guy this year, though. I mean, he's living up to his contract for sure. And really, Wiggins is this year. Is it sustainable? We will see.
Just long enough to get him another one.
I have a lot of doubts there. One thing I will say about Andrew Wiggins, just because I'm on Basketball Reference, and I like to look at this, he's played 5 seasons. He's only missed 10 games in 5 seasons, Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, he can't do shit, so they never get him the ball, and so you never really hear about him.
He's missed many more games than that. He just played in all those games.
Hey, Josh,
didn't show up.
When you lost connection for a second there, I had to take that moment to, kind of tip a cap to Karl Anthony Towns. I didn't want to do it while both of you were here, but
sure.
I think you would find it interesting. He's shooting 9 threes a game at 42%, more than Dame. Pretty crazy.
That guy is, I'm hesitant to say he's ever been as good as Anthony Davis, but dude, watch Anthony Davis play and then go watch Karl Anthony Towns play. And they have the same skill set, bro. Anthony Davis is longer and is a better defender. But man, dude, those step backs that Karl Anthony Towns is drilling, Anthony Davis is hitting those too. Whoa. Those crossovers that Anthony Davis is doing, Karl Anthony Towns is doing it too. Getting out in the break and running and dishing the ball, Karl Anthony Towns is doing it too. He's every bit as good offensively as Anthony Davis.
Offensively, Davis, and probably a better shooter. Definitely a better shooter from range, but he's nowhere near the defensive player. I forgot what stat you gave us. It was an advanced metric on defense a couple episodes ago, but Anthony Davis was leading the league by a mile in that.
Box plus minus, or defensive plus minus, and then Dwight Howard was up there too, and LeBron was up there too. And Karl Anthony Towns is no slouch on defense, dude. He's a good defender. Anthony Davis is just possibly the best defender in the league. Maybe going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Can I ask a real quick question since I have Anthony Davis's stats up since we're talking about this? Have either of you ever known him to have a nickname as Fat Man with a PH?
No, dude. I love looking at
Dwight Howard's name for him.
I love looking at those. He's like he's definitely going to convert Anthony Davis to a vegan by the end of this year. I love looking at the nicknames that are on Basketball Reference. Like Andrew Wiggins has 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. Maple Jordan, never heard it.
That was when he was coming to the league. That was great because he was supposed to be the next Jordan.
Karl Anthony Towns, only a couple. Ben Simmons has 6.
Oh boy,
the Wizard of Oz. That's one.
Unbelievable.
None of them are as good as my nickname
these sources are.
Ben Simmons, by the way. This is weak. They need to hire me.
Have you ever heard Joel Embiid referred to as the process? Because that's not how that connotation is usually used.
He tried to use that as his own nickname.
Did he? Oh, dude, of course he tried to use it as. You can't give yourself your own nickname. That's not. It
was over a gallon of Ben and Jerry's. Came up with that.
That's absurd.
Dude, so real quick, back to Andrew Wiggins, 24.8 points per game. Is that sustainable, yes or no?
I think it comes down some, but I think
at 46% shooting. I mean, that's really pretty good. 34 on threes. That's pretty solid.
It's not bad. I think it comes down a little bit. I don't know if it's a motivation thing with him or not, though. That's what we always laughed about the fact that this dude knows how to get a deal. And what he's going to do. He's in year 3 of that big contract, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's going to play his way into another big ass contract somehow for the next 2 years. And then he's going to take his foot off the gas. That's always what seems to happen with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think him or Cat are necessarily dogs, but I think Cat's taking a step in that direction. And you can develop that later in your career as LeBron did.
That's true.
So maybe Cat's just a late bloomer in terms of, his leadership, because his skill set's never been an issue. I think another problem, though, with that team is they're cooling off a little bit. They're 10-9. They're still hanging in there tough with a tough schedule thus far. But that roster's just not that good that's around them. That's really the issue.
Well, they traded away so much to get things like Jimmy Butler or guys like Jimmy Butler.
Right. Jared Culver was a guy I was high on coming into the year. I mean, I think he's going to be okay in this league, but it's going to take a little while. I'm a little tired of Jeff Teague. Robert Covington, nice player, but it's just not overall that great of a roster. They don't have really anybody to pair with Towns, kind of as a stretch four or a powerful guy. If they could get him in there and let Towns play the stretch 5, that would be beneficial. I question this team's ability to win 40 games.
Yeah, they have nice pieces, but they don't have a third scorer. Robert Covington's not a scorer by nature. Andrew Wiggins could be, but he's not efficient enough, and he's their second scorer, right? So they need that third scorer. Jeff Teague used to be that for them, but they don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Teague's still on the roster, but he's not contributing really,
right.
As a third scorer. And Suns are another team that I think are going to kind of fizzle out a little bit. So they're 9-10. They started out, I think, 6-3 or 6-4.
Yeah, they took down the Clippers and the Lakers and the Warriors, but that was before we knew the Warriors were bad.
Yeah, they're definitely starting to fall back down to earth, though, right?
So they're 9-10 right now. Any possibility that they still go under I think it was 28.5?
No, probably not.
I don't think so.
I think it's definitely possible.
Do you?
They're going to get Ayton back, and I think that they'll get better whenever Ayton comes back. He was serving a 25-game suspension from the beginning of the year, so I think you're about to get him back.
They have to be. They're not. It's within the next 10, yeah, within the next couple of weeks.
We both went under 20. It was just 28, Josh. We both went under.
I went over. I'm just joking with you.
Yeah, I was like, I need to update this.
He was so upset.
Somebody's lying. I don't know who.
Yeah. December 17th is when Ayton comes back. So you got another 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks from today.
Okay. So, Josh, Kyle and I talked about this last time. What would you say your biggest surprise is for this year so far?
Still, so at the beginning of the year, I said the Suns. Dude, I didn't expect the Lakers to come out of the gate as hard as they have.
Yeah.
That's while I did pick them at the beginning of the year, I didn't expect to be so
Justin's
right. I didn't expect that I was so smart.
I'm just not buying in on the Lakers as far as like getting off to such a hot start because of their schedule. I think it'll even out for them a lot coming down the stretch.
Yeah,
But I mean, the Celtics are right there, so you're not.
Dude, their schedule's shitty too, to be honest.
Right, but you're not going to take that away from them. I don't feel like. I mean, what?
I mean, dude, they've been just fine without Hayward, and I feel like Hayward is a very integral piece to their offense. And I just don't think that. I honestly think they have an easier schedule than the Lakers do. I think we looked at this just before we got on the air.
They're 27. Lakers are 26. They both really haven't played much.
And so not to take a ton of credit from either team, but I guess what I'm saying is it just doesn't show me a lot yet because they're beating the piss out of really bad teams.
Yeah, good teams have to do that though. Like you got to win teams. You got to win teams against the teams that are bad, right?
But I look at if you look at the Lakers Mavericks game that we all watched, I mean, the Mavericks should have won that game. They had won that game, and how do I know?
I thought you were talking about their blowout the other day.
No, well, and so how do I know? Because they went and blew them out by 14 the other day with a lead as high as 21. I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm not saying the Mavs are the end all be all, but they're a pretty good team. And
you were trying to tell me that how well they matched up against the Lakers, and I said you were crazy, but you were right when I watched that game.
And you guys watched the first game. The Mavs played themselves out of that game as far as fouls, and if you give LeBron James fucking overtime, he's gonna win. That's LeBron James.
Yeah, it's on his home court. That was just a young team losing the game, but back to your question to Josh. I think. Isn't it fair to say that the Mavericks are up there, Josh, as far as most surprising team?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
and if you look at it on a losing end, I would say the Hawks, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I didn't foresee that at all because we've said it. I've said it since the beginning of the Porzingis era is you don't have people that can switch on that team, so you can't play defense in today's modern era. But they're doing a pretty decent job, and that's all scheming from Carlisle. He's doing a good job about putting that together. Whenever you have a player that's playing like Luka, dude, that'll carry you. And if he continues to play like that, they'll make the playoffs for sure. I still see them. I would be pretty darn surprised to see them go into the second round.
Get out of the first. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly. And whenever you get into the playoffs, that's when you start playing against a player that goes, we know that Porzingis probably can't run faster than 2 miles an hour, so let's just switch him onto the same guy every single time,
That's true. Right. Josh, let me ask you this. What would Luka – two-part question. How many games does Luka need to will the Mavs to for him to be in the MVP conversation, and is that possible for you?
Dude, I think he's in it right now.
I mean,
that's exactly how I answered it.
I agree with that, but at the end of the year, let's say the full season.
To win it realistically.
Mavs can't be below 45 wins.
Okay.
Wow. See, I think they need to be.
I said 48.
Yeah. See, Kyle, I think they need to be closer to 50 almost.
Yeah, and for him to have a chance, it's closer to 50 for me, but they absolutely cannot be below 45. I don't think you can miss the playoffs and get an MVP.
I penciled them in to win exactly 45 games. Vegas had them at 41. I think they'll win more than that, but not by much. And I feel really good about that prediction so far.
Yeah, I agree with that now.
Yeah, I went over. This was one of Josh's classic. He went even on the 41, said, I'm going to hit it right on I'm just going to nail it right there. It's going to be a 500 season.
It's funny that you say that, though, because at the Mavericks going into the Lakers game, as a franchise, their record was 1584 and 1584. Literally a 500 team during their existence. So it's funny.
And think about how bad they must have been because they won 50 games for 11 or 12 years straight.
Yeah,
with Dirk.
They were really bad in those first 20 years or so.
It's incredible.
I think that's probably my biggest surprise, to be honest with you guys.
It's got on the positive scale. I think it's got to be. I mean, it's really not even that close. I mean, I'll make an argument for the Raptors because I think the Raptors are, because they won a championship and all those guys did last year. Talent wise, they're deeper than the Mavericks, but it's not that far off. Although Siakam has really, really made a hell of a jump.
Playing out of
He's going to be most improved player back-to-back seasons. But
you know what?
They're not really that much different than the Mavs from an overall talent standpoint. It's just with that championship pedigree and being in the East, I think they have a really good shot at making a push with the way Philly is playing as well.
And then whenever Kawhi gets done with that contract in L.A., he's going to be like, yeah, I was looking at houses here. I'm coming back, baby. That's what's going to happen.
I would be cool with that. That'd be crazy.
That'd be so funny.
That would be crazy.
I would love that.
The second he takes out the exact same ad that LeBron did, I'm coming home.
Yeah, I'm coming.
But the Raptors are second in the league in plus minus, which I love the plus minus stat because it shows you not just whether you're squeaking out your wins, but if you're beating teams that you're playing against badly.
If I ever want to, have you give approval on a player that I'm really high on, I'm just sending you PER plus minus, defensive plus minus. Like I know exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple. So you can always look at the points, assists, and rebounds, but I don't think that always tells the tale of the tape and tells you how good it is.
That's just what we were taught in, growing up in the Sports Center, ESPN era, right? You just see the highlights. You see 5 or 6 plays.
Yeah, you see Kobe go for 81
points, rebound, assist.
Yeah,
right. So the thing. Let me backtrack on my Luka statement. I think he's in the conversation for MVP right now, but I would not take him over Giannis. I wouldn't take him over LeBron. I wouldn't take him over Anthony Davis. Any of those guys right now, because of the liability that he is on defense.
I think that he means way more to his team though than those other players. Maybe not Giannis.
Not Giannis.
Not
or
Giannis.
James Harden.
Not Giannis, but it depends if you're looking at the true meaning of most valuable or just the best player, I guess. Because LeBron, AD, Giannis, really good defensive players this year at least, and. Dude, Luka's
you guys generally
is really bad.
It's really bad, but he's 20
he means
years old.
a lot to that team. He's the second most valuable player to his team behind Giannis, and if you want to put him third, it'd be behind Harden in terms of helping his team win basketball games.
Dude, Luka looks just terrified whenever he gets switched on to a big player or like a player like LeBron.
You mean like everybody else in the league too? I mean, come on, what are we talking about here?
That's fair. But here's what I'm saying. That first Mavs game that they played him in, LeBron hit 3 threes in a row and 2 of them were because Luka was turning around and begging for a switch with LeBron standing in front of him. And LeBron just waited until he turned around and looked.
Well, Luka did the same thing to him the other day. We like the exact same shot, which was awesome. That Luka remembered. That Luka remembered that in the first place.
Yeah. But I'm not taking him over Giannis, AD, Harden, or LeBron as far as if I'm trying to win this year.
I agree with that if you're trying to win, but my argument is value, and LeBron and AD have each other to complement each other, so the value is higher on Luka.
Are you guys more of a MVP means most valuable player, like literal, or are you like who's the best player in the league?
Yeah, it's the literal value for me. What means most to the team? Like think about how bad that Mavericks team would be without Luka.
Right. You have to be a playoff team to me, but then it's who's the most valuable player. Well, it really is just like over 45 wins, right? Like Westbrook got it when they were 46 and 36. Like there's a bare minimum, but it's most valuable to me because if it was best player, LeBron would have 9, right? 10.
I mean, I think LeBron should have 10, even if it is y'all's definition, right? So,
yeah.
But yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And I think that it more so whenever the AP is voting, I think it's a popularity contest.
Oh, for sure. There's always that aspect.
I think people like Luka. He has that magnetic, electric kind of personality. And what's more impressive,
kind of a weirdo.
Yeah. Well, everybody talks about how impressive it is that he's doing it at age 20, which it is, right? Like this is the best prospect we've seen in the league. This is like what we thought Zion was going to be. This is like AD, LeBron, Kevin Durant prospect, right? And Josh can't wait to talk about Zion. Let's.
I'm not talking about it.
Table that for a minute.
I'm not talking about it. I was just smiling.
I think the most impressive thing for him being 20 is just the way he handles it. He just seems so cool with all of it, all the publicity, all of the pressure on him.
But he's been there too.
Yeah, he's been a pro for 5 years, and that's a huge deal. And
yeah, he was drinking from the age of 10 in Europe. Like he's been an adult for this year 12 now.
Yeah, when your dad ships you off from some Eastern European country because he realizes you have an opportunity to Spain when you're 13. I mean,
I don't know what country he's from, but it most likely was taken over by Russia at some point, and that'll make you age pretty fast.
It's Slovenia, so yeah.
Slovenia, I'm pretty accurate, yeah. But sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
Dude, it went 33 and 18 tonight. I'm really impressed there. But let's go back to that Raptors team for a minute, man. I think it's not crazy to think that they could come out of the East based on what we've seen thus far.
Whew.
You got a good rotation of like 7 really good players. That's better than the Bucks.
If you take Giannis off the Bucks, yeah, the Raptors obliterate them. They foregame them, right? But Giannis is so transcendental. And I
I like their ability to guard Giannis, though.
Are we?
I do too, to be honest with you. Go ahead, Justin.
Whenever we're talking about this, are we considering like full health teams, or how are we looking at that?
Yeah, let's do full health.
Okay, so I mean, if you have Gordon Hayward healthy and playing well, the Celtics have a chance to give them a run for their money.
100%. The Celtics,
the Raptors, the Celtics are their team.
Yeah,
it's those 4 teams. I'm not really too worried about the Pacers with Vic.
Yeah, no, for sure. Kyle and I talked about this last episode, though. They're gonna they've done well as far as the big man position, but I just don't know that Enes Kanter is the exact guy you're looking for there. I mean, he seems to be doing fine, and they've gotten a lot of, they've gotten some valuable stuff out of Robert Williams and stuff, but nothing to write home about.
Yeah, you really. My question for the Celtics at the beginning of the year, and I think we'll see it more whenever they're playing against an Embiid that hasn't eaten an entire box of cookies before a game, is who's going to rim protect for them.
That's the problem.
That's my real question with the Celtics. Yeah, is like you can't. Those guys. I don't care if you put Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on Giannis. You can't stop them. You have to have somebody try and meet him at the rim and wear him down.
Carson Edwards has also been pretty good for them too, but I mean, he's still not someone that could stop Embiid.
No. Yeah, Carson Edwards. Yeah. That dude's like 6'2".
Zero chance of stopping Embiid. Yeah. Well, it depends on where they're at on the court, I guess.
But I really, that's been their issue is low post defense, and particularly they've struggled with Giannis over the last couple of seasons, and with the Robert Williams, Grant Williams revolving door that they're playing at the 5, that's not going to be successful in the 7-game series against Giannis.
And that was with Horford that they were struggling against Giannis, who's a great defender.
But let me throw. So that's what the Celtics have to throw at you on defense against Giannis is Kanter, Robert Williams, Grant Williams, and Toronto.
I meant Grant Williams earlier, not Carson Edwards.
Okay.
I always get those two dudes confused. That's where my head was at. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, I was like, Carson Edwards, I think I could take that guy.
No, for sure. Yeah, I always get those guys confused.
Toronto, the kind of revolving door defenders you can throw at Giannis, because that's what you have to do is you have to basically do the wall at the free throw line or a little higher, and you have to throw multiple bodies at him. Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, Pascal Siakam. I like those matchups from length and strength standpoints.
I like them better than other teams in the league, but I don't like.
I think that's like the best team in the league to guard him, other than maybe Philly.
Yeah, I would probably take Philly number 1. I'd honestly put the Lakers up there.
God damn it.
I'm putting them up there.
Are you contributing to Dwight Howard's injuries?
It feels like you are.
Dwight Howard's psychologist.
Are you contributing
completely different way?
Injuries? You were all over
injuries.
God dang it! You were all over Dwight Howard this year.
Just because of that insult, I'm taking away that. Think about it. They're the only team in the league with another 2 shot blockers like that.
Vegan diet, dude. It is not sustainable.
They have the defensive MVP, the best defender in the league. They have 3 guys
Davis
that are
the
top
best defender in the league.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's up there. Like he's in the conversation at least. You have to give me that he's at least in the conversation.
Yes.
But and then they have 3 guys in the top 15 box plus or defensive box plus minus. Like there's 3 guys that are controlling the defensive end of the court. So like you have to put them up there.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got Sixers. I got probably my number 1 is Sixers just because they're so flipping big. I would put probably the Lakers next and the Raptors.
Clippers are kind of nice too.
Yeah, they have the same question for me as the Celtics doing that. Who's really going to protect the rim?
And you don't know.
Montrezl Harrell like a beast.
He's big and he's strong, but he doesn't get up and block shots.
He changes shots though, and that's really important
sometimes. He's not a good of a shot or rim protector as Marc Gasol.
Who's the best one-on-one matchup for Giannis in the league? I don't think it's Anthony Davis, even though I agree Anthony Davis is probably the best.
No, I don't. I wouldn't put Anthony Davis on him one-on-one.
Is it
Kawhi?
Kawhi? That's what I'm thinking.
That would have to be cool. It would have to be.
Dude,
Kawhi.
I like Pascal Siakam matchup on him because of the length and the height.
Yeah, my concern about putting Pascal on him. If I was the coach,
his feet out.
If I was Brett Brown, I would be like, not Brett Brown. Nick Nurse. If I was Nick Nurse, I'd be saying, where are we gonna get our scoring from if we have Pascal guarding Giannis the entire game? That'd be my concern.
Yeah,
that's true.
I guess that's true, but I like that matchup.
Yeah, and I would say Kawhi number 1, and then I would also they tried Embiid on him last year, and Giannis obliterated him.
Yeah.
Unless it's a true 5, when you ask the question, who's the best player in the league to guard this guy, it's always Kawhi. Unless it's literally Joel Embiid or a true 5, right? Kawhi's the number 1 answer for every 1 through 4.
He might be the best defensive shutdown defender since Pippen.
He's the best on-ball defender ever. That's not a hot
Bruce
take.
Bowen?
No, that's not a hot take at all.
Miss me with that.
I don't even know what that
Bruce
means.
Bowen.
We're gonna have to listen.
I'm not even trying to entertain the thought of Bruce Bowen being the defender that Kawhi Leonard was, because of the era that they played in. There was so much less talent in the NBA. It's not even close. I'm not impressed by Bruce Bowen putting the clamps down on Doug Christie.
It's fair. You're really strong. You're passionate about that,
dude. And I don't like Kawhi. That's what's weird, is I don't really even like Kawhi. He's definitely a bet. If you're gonna say who's a better defender than him, it's somebody of the last 20 years, probably.
Yeah,
years.
I originally said Pippen. I think that Bruce Bowen is up there. I don't care if Doug Christie was on the court whenever Bruce Bowen was. But he guarded Kobe. He guarded I'm pretty sure that
Justin's not impressed by that.
Yeah, Justin's not impressed.
No,
but
Kobe
he's historically a great defender. He's on the top of the list, right? And Kawhi Leonard, Scottie Pippen, Bruce Bowen's in that conversation for me. Dennis Rodman's in that conversation, even though he's not a guard.
But if we're just talking on-ball defenders right now, especially, it's Kawhi
he's the best in the league. I'm not arguing.
Kawhi is the answer to everybody, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Because he's so versatile and agile in his game, too.
Yeah. And he's got hands as long as Kevin Durant's feet.
Right. Does he have Sideshow Bob feet? Is that a thing?
They look like corn dogs in socks, bro. They're just they're size 20. They're size 22, but they're an inch round.
And they're super thin, because his shoe is made. I have a relatively thin foot also, and his shoe is made for thin feet. And you see a picture of his feet, it's really kind of disturbing.
I'm pretty sure it's just a shin that extended, and he cut little toes into it at the end. It's really weird, man.
I'm upset that I've missed out on this discussion. I feel like this is something we should have discussed.
Dude, pop a Google on that one.
I'm working on it right now.
Google Kevin Durant feet.
I also love that in Google, the first thing that comes up is Kevin Durant feet height.
Good Lord, dude, look at these things.
Is he just laying?
Oh my God, bro.
They're so bad.
Man.
Those look like corn dogs.
They're so,
really do.
They're so much worse than flip-flops, too.
We need a Joe Rogan. Jamie, Kevin Durant's feet. Pull that shit up.
Unbelievable.
Dude, all these NBA players too, man, because they run so much and just pound their feet, they all have just no toenails left, or they're all black and just full of blood. Dude, his feet are unbearable to look at.
They look like what are those swimming flippers? Like scuba divers is what they look like.
That's literally, there's a you probably see if you Googled the picture too, Josh. There's a picture of him sitting against a red background, and he's got his feet.
That's the one I'm looking at.
Yeah,
that's the most ridiculous angle that could capture the greatness of his feet.
That is worth a Goog, man. If you have not popped it, that is
dude. If nothing else, this entire podcast for the 3 years that we've been doing it has culminated in this conversation right here.
I'm so glad. I mean, we can't talk about Paul Pierce shitting himself anymore. So I mean, what else are we going to talk about?
Now we got to talk about Kevin Durant's feet. Oh man, there's an odd amount of Kevin Durant feet pictures on the internet.
There really are. So Spurs 7-14 into the pop era.
No.
No. Dude, the Spurs will limp into the playoffs and scare the crap out of the 2 seed.
So it's 7-14. You're slotting the Spurs in at the 7 or the 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll 7-14.
They'll figure it out, dude.
Hold on,
7-14. They've lost 10 of 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, but the end of the Pop era will come when Pop decides. It won't be decided for him.
Well, no, okay, I phrased that wrong, Justin. My bad. Because I don't think San Antonio is not going to fire Greg Popovich. He will choose when he wants to step down.
Sure.
I agree with that. I'm saying, is this the end of the Spurs being relative? Because I'm fucking ready for it as a Mavs fan. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
No, well, I was just going to say. I mean, I get that, but I mean, I think it's another one of those we're witnessing dominance in a different way, and that's a pretty I mean, it's the longevity of it is. I mean, what's his record as a coach? It's got to be.
He has one of the best records of all time as a coach.
I know he does. I'm just curious.
It's like 600.
That's so crazy, man.
600 or plus.
I'm pulling it up right now just so we've got it.
I just want to hear more Pop cuss out minimum wage reporters if possible. If we can get more of that, Popovich.
Josh, I was at the Spurs game. That's when I sat on the wood, and that was when Popovich fucking stared down those refs and from across the floor. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. I was shaking in my boots a little bit.
Oh man.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up. We've hit on Kevin Durant's feet. We've hit on the end of the Popovich era, if we want to call it that. Whatever. It's good stuff, boys. Always a pleasure. Always good to talk some b-ball with you guys. Make sure everyone to check us out on social media. That's Sensibly Loud Media on Facebook and on Twitter. And make sure to give us a call. We want to hear from you guys. That number is 972-885-9361. Leave us a voicemail, and we will see you guys next week.
See you, man.